and how important is that each and every member of the household is equally important in the agricultural economy. And sometimes we use the word farmer, and it is such a gender driven word that it always come into the mind that farmer is the male gender. But female farmers, or we call women farmers, that is why we put the word women before farmers, because farmer is a what we gender neutral word. As we long time, if you remember that earlier they were used to say lady doctor. So what does it mean? Doctor is a doctor, where it's not the lady doctor. Similarly, the word women farmer is I think is not the right word to be used. It is the farmer, and farmer is the gender neutral word, but somehow it is deep embedded in our minds that farmers are men. So that is where the role of women in agriculture is less justified or less appreciated. And but at the same time we say that larger population of our country is involved in agriculture, and role of women is not less than men. Okay. And this is very important figure that if we see that agriculture sector employs 63% of all active men. So active men means that some are involved in services, or some are involved in construction work or any kind of work. But it's very interesting that 63% of the active men are involved in agriculture. On the other hand, 78% of the active women are in the agriculture sector. So from these figures, we can understand that how the larger section of women are involved in agriculture as compared to men. And in terms of agricultural production, India ranks 4th in the world for the participation of women in agriculture. So this shows that in Indian economy, the role of women is very, very important. And many of you have heard about an NGO, Oxfam, that is Oxford Committee for Famine Relief. They said that 80% of the women are economically employed in agriculture, and it consists of 48% of self-employed women farmers and 33% of agricultural labor force. So when we say that in our whole country 80% of women are involved in agriculture, and out of that a large proportion is one who are self-employed farmers, so their role cannot be lesser important as compared to men. Okay. Now it is that we have, our society is we can say centuries old, our societal system, and it's not easy to change it in one day. And we can see that it is that there is a very uniform distribution of work at farm, which is divided for men and women. So certain jobs are taken care by women and others are taken by men. And sometimes we feel that this is a teamwork which is actually moving the agricultural economy. And for that, women contribute significantly to agricultural production and allied household activities. So allied household activities means that taking care of the produce, storing the produce, and even some women, they are involved in marketing of that produce. And also they pursue diverse livelihood strategies, and that include growing crops, cleaning animals, feeding animals, field preparation, seeding, drying grains, even preparing meals for the family. That means the crop which is being produced by the family, then it is it is being consumed, and then collection of fodder, caring of dependents in the family, and maintaining their dwellings. That means that the houses which are being made, that here also the women plays important role. So sometimes it's not that the farmer is the one who actually do only the agricultural activities. The other activities which are moving around agriculture, they are also the part of the agriculture, and they are called allied activities. And here in allied activities, role of women cannot be denied. That means taking care of the crops, and taking care of the animals, and taking care of the children, and feeding the households. All these things are very, very important to strengthen the agricultural economy. And we all understand that women underrepresented in the developmental process. And of course, when we say that they underrepresented, these reasons are that in Indian women, they face significant disadvantages. First of all, the wages. Wages, they are not getting equal wages as compared to men. And there are so many reasons for that. One is that they have other important household activities and taking care of the children, and also they cannot give longer hours for that, and that's why their wages are not there. And land ownership, that is a very, very big issue in our country, that ownership laws, they do not support women. And we have found that very few farmers, they have the land ownership. That is mainly it's a male dominant domain, which put women on disadvantage. And representation in local farmer groups, that is again again our social fabric is like that females, they do not come forward, or they are not allowed to come forward, and they are not representing the farmer groups. And another very important reason is that they have limited access to productive resources in agricultural production. So whether it is taking the credit from the loan, and that because of their less role in decision making of the families, and even they are lesser educated, and they have some health issues time to time because when they are in the reproductive stage, they have physiological states when they get pregnant, or when they are nursing their children. So they have to have multiple jobs to do. For that reason, that we can say their role, we can say their involvement is underrepresented in the development. All these things prevent them from increasing productivity and their participation as decision maker in these activities. So this is very, very important critical points which limit the women's capacity to be the part of the development process. So it is very, very important that at the government level or at the societal level, that if we want to fasten our development process, then we have to remove all these limitations such as wages, land ownership, representation in the local farm groups, or limiting the access to productive resources. So these things are to be highlighted and must be taken care of. And of course, government is making steps on that. But as agricultural scientists, we also must understand that if the role of women will be well presented in the development process, that will boost the agricultural economy, which is the backbone of our country's economic security. Okay. Another problem which is being faced by women is that there is increasing level of mechanization in agriculture, which has really changed the role of women in agriculture. And if you remember and listen from your elders, that how women were totally involved in agriculture, starting from preparing the fields and then harvesting the crops, and now the roles, and even they cook food and take it to the to their male counterparts in the farming. So their role was very, very well defined, but due to mechanization in agriculture, this role has changed, and rural women are significantly impacted by this displacement of women from agriculture, which is caused by contemporary technology and modernization. And you will find that with this, there are many health and nutritional problems which have
वीडियो आपकी
come.
दिखनी चाहिए कि नहीं?
These nutritional and health problems have been coming up, and of course mechanization helped, and that has played a significant role in reducing drudgery among women. But at the same time, some women get free and they are displaced, and again they did not get the same jobs, and they have to go for labor jobs or somewhere to increase their family incomes, but it is not that easier. They are not getting the incomes, and that has negatively impacted the rural households in terms of health and nutrition, because resources are reduced, and that after being displaced, women lose their cultural and social identity. That is very, very important. That is a social and cultural identity, and the country need new strategies to resolve the problems of these displaced women. And sometimes in India, in Punjab, whenever we go for some projects in the rural area, what we find that many farm women, they are lying on their beds idle, and they are saying that no, we don't do any labor work because all is being done by the machines, and they have the labor which is migratory labor with them, and that has led to idle work, idle time for them, and they are not that educated to go for and search for another jobs. So this idealness among these women has really caused a problem in the social fabric, as well as their health as well. So there is increasing incidence of diseases among the rural women, and that is basically because of the inactivity or the proper physical this thing, and also their social or cultural identity is also affected. Okay, now coming to whether it is the urban locations or the rural locations, participation of the women in the work has positive impact on the household's income. So there are many farmers, scientist women are sitting in this group, and we all understand, all men and women understand that how important it is for the women if they have work to do, that has how it has positive impact on household income. As women participation increases, the social constraints decrease, leading to improved social status for women. So we all understand that. But at the same time, social and other barriers limit the participation of women in the workplace. You will find that many of the rural societies do not let their women to work outside their homes because of the social or societal mindset. And when they have work at their homes, that was acceptable, but they do not let the women go out for work, and that has led to many social and economical issues in the rural households. And that's why we say that agricultural families in their starting from production to storage to marketing of the produce, the women from the family must be involved in that, so that to protect the social fabric and also protect the dignity of those women in the society. Okay, then I'm discussing little about Punjab. In the state of Punjab, women make around 47% of the rural population in rural of the overall population in rural areas. So that means that our ratio of male and female ratio is 53 to 47% in rural area. And another disadvantage for the rural women is that the literacy rate for women in rural areas is 65.8%. So there is great number of women, that is around 34%, are illiterate. And this it is happening in rural areas. But if we see in the urban areas, about 79% of the urban counterparts are literate. So first of all, the women in Punjab, literacy rate of women is low in the rural area. And according to the periodic labor force survey of 2018-19, Punjabi female work participation rate, which is called FWPR, it is only 17.3%, which is lower than the national average of 23.3%. So this is especially a very important constraint in the state, that the state has it's an agricultural state, and you understand that how much wheat and rice contributed to the national pool, that is about 30 to 40% of the wheat and rice is being produced by Punjab, which has only 1.5% land area in the country. But here in this agrarian society, women participation is quite low, that is 17.3% against the national average of 23.3%. Many labor-saving technologies related to household and feed situation are available, but women did not use these new innovations due to constraints. So when women's role, women's participation in agriculture is less, and secondly, the new technologies or new innovations, whether it is coming from ICAR or KVK or its KVK centers or anywhere, women, because of their low literacy rate, they cannot use those technologies as effectively as they should, and they have less technical knowledge, less support from families. They are not able to get credit because they do not have land ownership. And these all are the constraints where women's role is restricted. And this is very important that I would say that technological innovations and developments in agriculture mechanization were done keeping men folk in center stage, and hardly innovations were women centric and addressed to the drudgery reduction in women. So here we scientists must take this as this thing that our innovations should not be center stage for men folk, because all the trainings, technologies, agriculture technologies are basically meant for men. And here also I would say that in our agricultural education system also there is supremacy of men, and that is a big issue. And when we say that women and men population is similar and their role is much higher, that is 78% or 80% of the women, active women, are involved in agriculture. So why these things like low literacy rate, less technical knowledge, less support from families, low credit limits, these are hindering women to actively participate in agriculture, which is considered as male domain, and that has to be taken care of, and that is the responsibility of course ministries involved in agriculture, as well as all the agriculture related institutes across the country. Okay, now this is a very important thing, that what is women empowerment? And in 2007, this term coined up, and that this standardized empowerment indicators we developed for. First is that women has the right for personal decisions. They should also have the rights for household decision making, and also their domain autonomy. Domain autonomy means if they are that whatsoever domain they have their own will to run it in their own uh, own knowledge or their own will, and the potential to transform one's life. So if all these four indicators are met by, or they are met, then we can say that there is women empowerment. But women empowerment in agriculture is a different concept. Here in 2012, it was three organizations. One was IFPRI, that is International Food Policy Research Institute, OPHI, that is Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, and third is Feed in Future Initiative. All these under the umbrella of USAID, that is United States Agency for International Development. They have launched Women Empowerment in Agriculture Index, so WEAI. So this is very, very important index, and it identifies 5 categories for women empowerment. Number one is that whether they have agricultural production decisions they can take. Number two, they have access to and decision-making power over productive resources. They have control over incomes. And fourth, they have leadership in community and also their time use. So all these 4 are the indicators of women empowerment in agriculture index. And of course, now the government has all efforts to improve the women empowerment so that they can strongly participate in the development of the country. Now, of course, now let's come to the present situation, how the things are going in our country. Rural women workforce in agriculture sector, and we all understand that now all the programs at the national level or at the state level, they are meant that the women should be engaged at all levels of agricultural value chain, whether it is production, whether pre-harvest, post-harvest processing, that is totally, that can be women domain as well. Of course, women need support of men in that. We should say all are farmers, so they all that is the people who are actually processing their post-harvest their production, they are also the farmers. And then in packaging, marketing, all these things are to increase the productivity in agriculture. So women are being engaged in all the levels in the country, and that is a good thing. We are seeing the statistics that, of course, in Asia and Africa, we have found that these things are not up to the mark as compared to the farmers in Europe and US. But yes, now the engagement, the percentage of rural women in all the processes, it's not only the agriculture production part, but pre and post harvest processing, packaging and marketing, the role of women is important. Secondly, the ratio of women to men work in agriculture sector has increased over the time, and it has made greater amount of contribution to GDP per capita. Now, sometimes they say that we can understand that farming sector or agriculture sector is contributing to the GDP, but due to the overlapping role of men and women in agriculture, it is sometimes very difficult that what is the role of women in improving GDP. But this has been witnessed over the years. That is, before COVID, it was there is a data that GDP increase is there due to the higher involvement of women in agricultural value chain. And it is projected by FAO that women-oriented reforms ensuring equal access to resources. That means trainings and credits and all those things, skill development and opportunities in agriculture. And this would increase agricultural output in developing countries from 2.5 to 4%. So this is the estimations that by giving equal access to women can improve improve agricultural output from up to 4%. So that is quite or a significant, we can say, significant achievement on the part of the country. Okay, this slide shows that special provisions for women under different schemes and missions. What happens that special beneficiary oriented schemes are laid by the Department of Agriculture and Farm Welfare to mainstream the participation of rural women. These special schemes provide for state and other implementing agencies, they are told to incur at least 30% expenditure on women farmers. So all these schemes, and there is a booklet on these schemes, which is specially meant for farm women, that 30% expenditure should be on women. And these schemes are SMAE, that is Submission on Agricultural Extension, that is National Mission on Agricultural Technology, Extension and Technology, National Mission on Oilseeds and Oil Palm, Integrated Scheme for Agricultural Marketing, National Food Security Mission, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, Submission on Agricultural Mechanisms, Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture, and most importantly, it is the I would say that which is very good, agricultural insurance. So in all these schemes, missions, 30% expenditure is for women farmers. So that is a great effort by the agencies involved, which means that upliftment of the women in agriculture. Okay, so this farm women friendly handbook has been developed or prepared by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. And you can say that the name of the ministry was earlier the Ministry of Agriculture, but now it is the Farmer Welfare. And when word farmer welfare is used, that involves both male and female farmers. And several farm women's food security groups undertake macro and micro level studies in critical thrust areas related to women in agriculture at national, regional, and state level. So you know that we in ICAR system, we have many research projects which are simply meant for understanding the role of farm women in food security, and number of research groups are working on that. And then they compile and document the documentation of gender-friendly tools, technologies, and compilation of best practices, and even success stories of women farmers, so as to identify or represent their role in agriculture. So that way there are efforts. And recent government initiatives related to women empowerment in agriculture is that you can see that Rashtriya Mahila Kisan Divas, National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Prayojana. These are specially meant for women farmers, because it is now well accepted that their role in improving the agricultural economy is vital. Now, empowering women farmers. Now, of course, Again, women farmers is a very gender specific term. It should be empowering farmers, skills and capacity building. Specific women farmer training programs on topics. It is not that only the agricultural technologies are to be taught to those, or new innovations in agriculture is to be taught to those, but they should be having programs like household food security by kitchen gardening and nutrition gardening, designing and development of low or minimum cost diets. That is the domain of our department, that is Department of Food and Nutrition in all agricultural universities. Designing and development for high nutrient efficiency diets, processing and cooking to prevent losses of nutrients and preserve best of nutrition. And these all things are ultimately leading to improving the health status of the society, and especially the children who are the base for the upcoming economy of the country. And gender mainstreaming through self-help groups, storage loss minimization techniques, value addition, women empowerment, location-specific drudgery reduction technologies, even rural crafts. That is very important in improving the incomes of the households. And women and childcare, that is again the domain of agriculture. That childcare these are all organized by the extension bodies through Ministry of Agriculture and Farming. So ultimately we can say that these training programs have opened avenues for new livelihood opportunities for the rural women. So all these domains, they are very much related to agricultural economy, and we cannot separate it from the agriculture. We have ICAR Central Institute for Women in Agriculture at Bhubaneswar, Odisha, and this institute is specially meant for the upliftment of or improved involvement of women in agriculture, and parallel research projects on introduction of new interventions in streamlining women engagement in farm sector, technology testing and refinement, gender sensitive extension approaches, etc. are taken up for enhanced participation of women in agriculture. Over the years, rural women participation in training programs have been increased in many folds. So that means this is the success of the whole agricultural education system, that if the role of women in skill development has been improved. Okay, so ultimately, when we talk about income generation, and then we talked about skill development, very important domain is the financial empowerment. And we all understand that how significant initiatives in extending banking outreach to the rural areas. So when banking has been started in the rural areas through many schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, or Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Stand Up India scheme, Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. All these are the supporting steps towards financial empowerment and entrepreneurship development of rural women. Over 9 crores women in India has benefited, because it is the economic security or of the women which makes them empowered. And over 7 years of the implementation of this scheme, 43 crore accounts have been opened in that country. Further, this constitute, and you will be surprised that 56% of the account holders are women, and this is more than the male counterparts. And 67% accounts are in the rural and semi-urban areas. So that means that financial security is very important to develop the confidence in women, so that they take up the agricultural activities more vigorously and more confidently, and that will ultimately improve the agricultural economy. Okay, so in the end, I would like to say that rural women are major stakeholders in growth and agriculture sector for the new India, and all the scientist community should come out of the mindset that farmers are only men, and we should try to involve women in the numbers, in the larger numbers, and their role as farmers and allied domains, not that agriculture and allied fields. The role of women has to be enhanced, and it is the responsibility of all of us to if we really want to improve the agricultural economy of the country. And acknowledging and mainstreaming of rural women via ensured access to resources. So it is not simply that we should say that the role of women has to be improved. For that, we have to ensure access of these women to resources, technology, education, health facilities, ownership rights, and skill development. And this will improve agricultural productivity and help in building an empowered nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. Any queries from audience? Any questions?
Hello.
Dr. Jhoot. Yeah, Dr. Jhoot, please.
Sir, actually, our Dean Agriculture, Professor Rehana ji, has joined in the forum. She wants to say something. Okay. If Professor Rehana ji can hear.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Yeah. Good morning. You are audible.
Morning, ma'am. You are audible.
Good morning. And well,
Really, it was nice to know about Madam, and she deliberated upon the role of women in agriculture very well. And I, being the Dean Agriculture, would like to state here that more than 50% of our population under BSc Agriculture is comprising of girls. Now girls are coming up for this profession, which was very rare in the times when I was studying. When I was studying in agriculture, girls, we were only 2 girls in the batches. But the trend is changing, and girls are taking up agriculture as a profession. And similarly, when the girls are more in agriculture, the perspective of research is also changing. A lot of work is being done on drudgery reduction, especially for those equipments to be used in which women are taking most of the part, like whatever works in the field, in the farms, women labor or women family labor or women farmers are doing, and we have to stress more thrust on them. More of mechanization has to take place. More of gender-friendly equipments have to be used or have to be manufactured. And I think that the role of women in agriculture can never be taken for granted. It is a hard work and toil of the women, especially at the critical stages in agriculture, which are finally giving us the yield, which are finally resulting in high productivity and economy of the country. Thank you. It was very nice to have you here, ma'am, and it was enlightening, and many of my students had also joined. It was very enlightening lecture, and I think that most lectures like this should take place more often, not only on Women's Day or some other day, but we should continue such lectures. And I think it was excellent from the ICAR-IMR to hold such webinar and invite you for the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
It was such an enlightening talk, ma'am. Such
Yes.
a wonderful talk.
Thank you.
Me as a woman scientist, I learned a lot from this lecture because I don't know many things from this. Okay, ma'am. So you highlighted all the challenges faced by the women in the society as well as the agriculture sector. And you also tell us what's the importance of women in the agriculture sectors or what we have to do for upliftment of the women in the society. So it was such a wonderful talk, ma'am. And now I would like to request Dr. A.K. Singh to give some remarks and enlighten us words.
Thank you. Good
Sir.
morning to all.
Thank you.
I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Kiran Bains, ma'am. You have given very nice lecture, and you have enlightened us that in our country, where the women are not getting equal wages, they are not getting land ownership, then representation in local farm groups are very less. So all these things are, I mean, previously they were, not favoring women's. And again, this mechanization has led very important displacement for women, because previously all this weeding, then harvesting, this was done by women laborers. But nowadays, with the introduction of machinery, this whatsoever weeding is required, that is done by chemical control. This harvesting is done by this combines. So what is the answer? And in that, you have also listed that in women, literacy rate is low, technical knowledge is low. But nowadays, as the dean from Sere Kashmir University, ma'am, has suggested that nowadays women participation, particularly in education of agriculture, is increasing day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And I am seeing that in most of the universities, almost 42, even in some cases, is exceeding up to 60% participation from girls. So,
Right.
so if that will continue, then what you are suggesting, the constraint that technical knowledge is less, so that part is can be removed.
Yeah.
Once the girls are reaching to their families, they will enhance the decision making process. So in this way, since this financial empowerment is the most important thing. So you have also highlighted that financial empowerment for women is playing very important role. So thank you, ma'am. You have given a very nice lecture. Thank you to you, and thank you to all our participants, not only from our institute, but from our ECRIP center also, that they have participated in this G20 Summit lecture series. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. S.B. Singh to propose formal vote of thanks. Sir.
Good morning to all of you, respected directors and Dr. Kiran Bains. I, on behalf of the IAMR and on my own behalf, I submit my vote of thanks. Ma'am, you have given a very comprehensive lecture on the women-led developments in agriculture. You have very good highlighted the constraints being faced by rural women farms in farmer sector, and you also highlighted the government agriculture schemes where special provisions have been made for women empowerment and welfare of the women farmers. Thank you very much, madam. I thanks for your nice presentation. I also thanks to our directors, sirs, and our colleagues from IAMR and also our colleagues from the ECRIP centers and universities. Thanks to all.
तीन कौन हो जाएगा?
Hello.
मैं लेके जाऊंगा कुछ.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say one thing. Dr. Kiran Bains, I would like to thank you personally, because on a simple phone call. You accepted an invitation and delivered such a nice talk. So thanks for you. Thanks, madam.
So, Dr.
Thank you, ma'am.
like when we are in this same level of, that is in the agricultural field, so we should complement each other at all stages. And that's why I feel that if you are planning some lecture and you have invited me, it is my prime, that is professional responsibility to be the part of that. Thank you.
That's great, ma'am. Thanks a lot. So, Mamta,
Thank
ठीक है,
you.
thank
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
madam.
you so much, ma'am.
you.